I'm going to do a quick intro of everybody and what their product is, and then we'll talk a little bit about what they are. They're all very different and all very interesting. Right here next to me, I have Marty Wachter. He's the Director of UX and Technology for Sound United, a sister company of Polk, and we're going to be talking about the Polk Command Bar, which is a smart sound bar for your home theater system. Next to him is Tim Ryan. He's the Chief Marketing Officer from Moto Bag, and Moto Bag is part of this growing category that maybe we call smart luggage. Maybe we'll figure out what the name of it is. Next to him is Mike Goslin. He's the VP of Advanced Development at Disney, and Disney has partnered with a hardware company named Lenovo to put together the Star Wars Jedi Challenges augmented reality headset, which is very cool, and I think everyone is going to be lining up downstairs to try. And then finally, we have Justin Barat. He's the founder and CEO of Oso, and that is a company that makes VR software to train surgeons, which is an interesting way to get past the initial, video game consumer version of VR and get it into commercial and educational spaces. So I'm going to start with Marty here, because the big thing we talked about at the show was connected devices, smart assistants, Alexa, and all its competitors. And Polk has the Command Bar, which is a soundbar home theater system, which I believe is the first one with Alexa built in. And of course, soundbars are very important because unless you have a 5.1 or 7.1 surround sound system, which many people in New York apartments don't, you have a soundbar probably with a little subwoofer. How does that get better by adding a smart assistant?
Well, it's a really cool product because we've taken the brains of Alexa and embedded it directly into a soundbar. So that gives us the ability to do some things that you can't do with just a dot and just a soundbar. So we have control of the microphones, we have control of the speakers, they're custom designed to interact with the microphone, and we can be very careful about how it can listen to your voice and pick that up.
Tim, the Moto Bag is one of the things that's super fun to demo because it's basically luggage you can ride. And it's not the only smart luggage piece that we've seen, but it's one of the ones that we've seen most often. I think other things we've seen have been like luggage that you can plug, has a battery in it so you can recharge your phone or something with it. And the other one that we saw was sort of an autonomous suitcase that would use a camera to follow you around. We saw that at CES just last week. But in all the demos I saw, it didn't really work that well. That got lost. Whereas the Moto Bag, you just get on.
Actually, yeah.
I know. We should have. Yeah. We tried to get that here, but it got lost.
Yeah, the person went one way and their luggage went the other. Unfortunately.
But this, you're riding the luggage, so you're not going to lose it.
Right.
Is smart luggage a big growing category? Is everyone going to have to get into this space? It's such a legacy category.
Well, it's interesting. It is a big category, but it's still it's a maturing category at the same time. It is valued at about $745 million right now at the end of 2017, and it's supposed to grow to I think 1.9 billion by 2024. So it's big and it's growing, but yet it's still forming itself. And for now, there is not a lot of segmentation in the marketplace, and the entry to get into smart luggage is pretty low. You just need to be able to charge your phone with a USB port. So we are the only one that you can ride.
You've gone a little more ambitious
because
than
you
just
can,
a USB
right? Yeah. So, but there'll be some segmentation, I presume, and I hope over time.
All right, Mike Goslin. Now, you and I have talked before, and I was very excited to see the development of the Star Wars Jedi Challenges AR headset a couple of times during its development. It came out just in time for Christmas, and it's a really interesting package. I was always impressed because it packed so much into one box that was self-contained, didn't have all these extraneous wires coming out, and was also relatively inexpensive. How is that different than a lot of the big VR setups that people have that, again, cost a lot, hard to set up, tons of wires? What makes this product different?
Well, we wanted to focus on the experience. Like what we really wanted to deliver was that dream of being a Jedi and having a lightsaber. And because we could focus on that, we didn't have to build a platform. We didn't have to focus on making the next computing platform. We could focus on how do we make that experience great. And so when you have narrow focus, you can throw a bunch of stuff off the boat and make it affordable, comfortable, all fit in a box.
VR, and I believe we actually have a little teaser video here because it's kind of hard to describe. It's one of those things, almost anything VR or AR related, you have to see it rather than just hear about it. So it's a headset that you put on. You actually put your phone inside as opposed to it generating the image itself, and it projects that on a visor in front of you. And it comes with a little lightsaber controller and a tracker. And I think there's 3 games built into it right now.
Yeah, so we're starting with 3 games that are all Star Wars themed, but there's a lot of content in it. There's tons to do, and we're adding more, so we're very excited about it.
So Justin Barad is the founder and CEO of Oso. He is also an orthopedic surgeon, and early in his career actually worked in game development. And he saw a problem with how surgeons were trained, and he was interested in virtual reality hardware, and he saw how those two things could work together. Tell me a little bit about the problem you were trying to solve and how VR helped you solve it.
Yeah, I mean, surgical training hasn't really changed very much in over 100 years, and there's this expression that is taken quite literally that we use all the time called see one, do one, teach one, which sounds terrifying when you're talking about a loved one, but that's really how it works. People expect if you've seen something to be able to do it, but that's just no longer working. The procedures that we're learning are just far too complicated. If you look at the data, a recent analysis showed that about 20 to 30% of surgeons at the end of their training, so this is after like 12 to 14 years of med school, residency, were unable to operate independently. So the system that we have currently is no longer working. We have an aging population, and at some point the supply is not going to be able to meet the demand. In addition, the technologies that are coming down the road that are so exciting for all of us that are going to be able to solve problems that we couldn't have previously solved are much more complicated. So this is stuff like robotic surgery, navigation, patient-specific implants. So people can't learn these technologies right now because they're too complex, and what happens is they take them, they practice on patients. It typically takes about 100 patients before you can practice one of these procedures safely, and or between patient 1 and 10, something horrible happens, you're like, you know what, I'm going to do the older, safer stuff, and people aren't seeing these new technologies. So when VR came out, it just immediately struck me, I'm like, oh my God, this is an incredible solution to a problem that I'm living every day, and it doesn't seem that complex to not practice things on innocent human beings and just, much like I don't know. Orthopedic surgeons were strong as an ox and twice as smart. So, I don't think I'm a genius, but, just like the flight industry, a lot of big changes in patient safety have come from aviation. And they practice on simulators every year. They have to recheck their skills in the simulator. And there's just nothing like that in the medical world currently. So we're looking to change that.
I think it's really interesting that it's not tied into a particular hardware platform. It's software that can work on a bunch of commercially available VR. And that is software that is not for sale anywhere yet, but they can go to your website and contact your company if people are interested in trying it out.
Yeah, so right now we work with some of the top 10 medical device companies in the world. And it's being used at HSS, and certain institutions have partnered with us. So you can definitely reach out if you're interested in practicing some cutting edge, literally, pun intended, surgical procedures.